Mr. Bahl, your daughter isn't intelligent enough to attend an American school. That's because her SAT score does not represent college readiness. These were the words of my college counselor when I showed him my SAT score sheet. I scored a 1320, and it was my second attempt. Not intelligent enough and not college ready were the two ways my counselor chose to describe me just based off my SAT score. He didn't point out that I had improved drastically from my first attempt, wherein I scored a 1210, by the way. He also didn't point out that I had a 4.0 GPA. I felt defeated. I accepted that I wasn't intelligent enough or college ready. But something somewhere did not make sense. I had a 4.0 GPA. Doesn't that make me intelligent enough for an American school? Oh, and I had so many other volunteer experiences. Shouldn't that be considered towards my college admission? Well, if you had similar experiences, I think you should listen to what I have to say today. So, is SAT a fair medium to measure intelligence and college readiness? In my opinion, SAT is an unfair and biased test that doesn't measure anything but the competence of an individual to take the SAT. Hence, it shouldn't be considered as a major component of college admission decisions. It is a problematic test because it is discriminatory in terms of both race and income, and it isn't educational, it is a business in terms of commerce and schooling. So before I get into why I think the SAT is problematic, I'm going to give you some background information about the SAT. According to Prep Scholar, SAT is a standardized college admissions test in the US, which is run by the College Board. It is a standardized test meant to show schools how prepared you are for college by measuring key skills. Depending on where you want to apply, SAT counts for 50% of the college admission decision. 50%. SAT was originally adapted from an Army IQ test and administered as a college admissions test for the first time in 1926. The president of Harvard believed that it was an effective measurement of intellectual potential. Intellectual potential. And the number of high school students that have taken the new SAT test in 2019 is over 2.2 million students, according to College Board, which is problematic, and I'll tell you why. It is discriminatory. Number one, in terms of race. According to Forbes 2019 report, in 2018, combined SAT scores of Asian and white students averaged over 1100, while that of other groups averaged over 1000. And in terms of income, it is discriminatory because, according to the same Forbes 2019 report, a 2015 analysis found that the students with family income less than $20,000 scored the lowest on the test, and those children with family income above $200,000 scored the highest in the test. So the test doesn't consider possible hardships and experiences of these different test takers. All the test takers give the test in the same manner, regardless of their race or family income. So for example, a student from an underprivileged neighborhood such as Oakland with a score of 1,000 points has schools like CSU Bakersfield and CSU East Bay open to them. However, a student from an affluent neighborhood of Palo Alto has schools like SJ State and SF State open to them. It's no surprise that better the university, the better are the opportunities. So this clearly puts a student from Oakland who attends a public school in a poor school district and obtains a lower SAT score at a disadvantage when compared to a Palo Alto student who attends a private school and has a higher SAT score. Further, the cost of SAT tutoring, according to Prep Scholar, is anywhere between $45 to $100 per hour, which doesn't seem affordable for a household that has an annual income of $20,000. Also, according to a CNBC report, rich parents paid up to $10,000 plus for SAT test prep alone. $10,000. Apart from this, there have been so many scandals that involve rich parents paying to agencies to help their kids cheat in the test. One infamous example is the William Rick Singer scandal, where his company, The Key, was paid about $25 million by parents to help their kids cheat on a test. Hence, it is discriminatory in terms of both income and race between people who can pay and afford such services and between people who cannot. Further, it's not only discriminatory, it is a commercial business. If one looks at the salary of businessmen in the field, as of 2011, Gaston Caperton, the president of College Board, was paid $1.3 million, and Richard Ferguson, who is the former executive officer of ACT, was paid around $1.1 million. Doesn't this prove that the standardized testing is a big business? Refuters of this argument may state that it enhances our national income, which it does, I agree, but my question is, at what cost? At the cost of 2.2 million anxious 16-year-old test takers and the financial burden on their families? Well, another set of people who are pro-SAT would argue that it does establish conformity and accountability. However, high school teachers from Compton Unified School District would refute this argument by saying the pressure to raise test scores has become so strong that testing often degrades instruction rather than improving it. Well, we should take a pause and reflect on these two questions. When did education become a product, and when did conformity become learning? This conformity is leading to the killing of creativity. As stated by the Creativity Crisis Report of 2017, which read, test-centric education has reduced children's exploration time, which stifles imagination, and high-stakes testing has stifled original thinking. But shouldn't exploration and originality be the crux of education? Well, clearly the SAT doesn't support that thought. So what should we do to possibly attempt to solve this problem? Number one, universities should be test optional. According to William Hiss, the former Dean of Admissions at the Bates College, who led a study that tracked graduation rates of students who submitted SAT and versus the students who did not submit the SAT, a scanty of 0.05% of a GPA separated the test takers from the non-test takers. 0.05%. However, the groups had a difference of whopping 113 points in their SAT scores. These results indicate that admissions officers can successfully predict college success even without the use of the test. Hence, testing should be optional because according to his study, standardized tests prepare you only to be a good standardized test taker, and it does not reflect intelligence, nor does it reflect college readiness. Second solution, GPA should be weighed more than an SAT. And according to Forbes Report 2019, what predicts college completion? A student with a high SAT score and a mediocre high school GPA has an expected graduation rate of 39%. But students with opposite credentials, mediocre SAT scores and high GPAs, graduate from college at the rate of 62%. Hence, it seems likely that the kinds of habits the high school grades capture are more relevant for determining college success than just a score from a single test. Hence, To sum it all up, I would say SAT is an unfair and biased test that doesn't measure anything but the competence of an individual to take the SAT. Hence, it shouldn't be considered as a major component of college admission decisions. SAT is a problematic test because it is discriminatory in terms of race and income. And it isn't educational, it is a business in terms of both commerce and schooling. To solve this problem, I suggest that universities should be test optional and that GPAs should be weighed more than SATs. In short, my research concluded that no, I wasn't less intelligent or less college ready because of my 1320 SAT score, and so weren't you or anyone who scored lower than what your parents or counselors expected you to score. Similarly, your siblings or in the future your children won't be the reflection of their SAT scores. It is just a score. So let us treat it like a score. It is just a score in the very standardized American educational system. So let's just treat it like it and not as a test of intelligence or college readiness. Let us together cultivate this thinking and not look down upon ourselves or anybody else who scores low on such tests. And hopefully this thinking will pass on to generations until one fine day when the American educational system actually abolishes these tests. Until then, we do our part by truly questioning the testing system and spreading awareness instead of looking down upon low standardized test scores. Thank you.